Here we go. So, good evening. Welcome to this new psalm teaching on Psalm 13. We're getting almost to complete the first mountain of the Psalter. And so let's look where we are. Let me share screen so you can see where we are. And here, let me go all the way up to our little picture of the ascent and descent of the first mountain of Psalter, Psalm 1 to 15. You have the numbers 1 to 15 in front of you. And tonight we're going to look at 13, which has Psalm 3 in parallel. We'll see a few words about Psalm 3, which you have also in front of you, but we'll come back to it after Psalm 13. But what we have in common with these two Psalms is the new title I put for the two Psalms, two powerful prayers of confidence and salvation under persecution. And that's part of the building of the mountain, right? Going up and going back down. That's this development of prayer of confidence. Psalm 3 is the first prayer because 1 and 2 are more presentations of how God works with us, with his people. And then we get into Psalm 3, which is the first prayer, and which tonight we have Psalm 13 on the other side. And so for Psalm 3, I put the title, Confidence in the Messiah's Work of Redemption. And already in Psalm 2, we had the presentation. You are my son. Today I have begotten you, of the Messiah, and I give you nations, right? And you lead them with a rod of iron. You bring about this work of redemption. We will have time to come further into the relationship of Psalm 13 with the Psalms around. And Psalm 3, tonight, we will take time to look at it together. But let us scroll down to Psalm 13, which is our subject of tonight, which we haven't yet studied. And I gave this title to Psalm 13, Painful Blossoming of Personhood Amid Persecution. There's something very marvelous in Psalm 13, is that amid the pain of persecution, it seems to be the good earth for the blossoming of personhood. And so this is what we're going to be looking at this evening. And I think all of us want to avoid persecution. But we all know, after celebrating the Holy Week, right? Jesus did not avoid persecution. Rather, it's at the center of his gift to our humanity. And all his gifts are to make us participants in his gifts. And this resurrection, which we are celebrating now for the Paschal time, is precisely the ultimate blossoming of personhood. We're going to see the resurrection appear in Psalm 13 in the end, right? But we start by personhood amid persecution. And we can really think after what we have just lived as a church, right? That Jesus is first known to us, to his disciples, through his personhood amid persecution. And our resurrection properia in the Eastern Church is you trampled down death by death, bestowing on us the resurrection. So it's blossoming from amidst persecution, which is at the heart of Jesus's identity, and which Psalm 13 has a very, very beautiful insight into how we can participate in this. So let us go. Psalm 13 as a title for the leader, or about the victory, a Psalm of David. It's a very simple title. There's nothing special. We have a lot of psalms which have exactly the same title, and they just say Psalm of David, but with this for the leader or for victory behind it. So let's look now. Let's just go to our very short psalm and look at it, which starts in with our verse 2. And so you see there are 5 parts, as I have put in evidence, and which are we're going to see as they unravel. So let me read the first part. It's the first. How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? So here in the first 2 how longs, which are going to, as you see before your eyes, it's going to be continued in with 2 more how long. So there's going to be 4 how longs, and this is probably question. If you take the Hebrew, right, it's Adana. It can be, this idea is where to are you leading us? Where to are you leading us through persecution? And in other words, with respect to place, but the same question with respect to time would be, how long, Lord? And so here, how long, Lord, will you forget me? And it's the first aspect, is the forgetful, just with the how long. Why are there 4 how longs in this psalm, and as sort of an essential trait of human experience? Well, the Jews like to give wonderful biblical background, and in the first books of the Bible, we have 4 times how long on the part of God. So once in the book of Exodus, 16:28, how long will you refuse to keep my commandments and laws, says God to us. And then the other 3 are in the book of Numbers, chapter 14. We have 3 how longs. How long will this people spurn me? How long will they refuse to believe in me, despite the signs I perform? how long will they grumble against me? So God has four how longs, right? And so when we have, how long are you allowing me to undergo sickness, persecution? We can all think of very concrete aspects of our life. But it's an echo of God with respect to us, who also has this question, how long are you going to not believe we heard, right? Not, and are you going to grumble with the destiny I am offering you? But here in verse 2, we have two very precise aspects of how long uh, it's through two forms of God's presence, which we find how long will be the first form, forgetfulness of me on the part of God. Let's already look at that. Forgetfulness of me. We have a number of times in the in the already in Psalm 10, which we have studied, we have twice. We have so the it's the enemy who sits in his heart. El is forgotten. He hides his face. He will never see. And this till the end, forever. So very close words to today. And then, but then it continues later. Arise, O Lord, O El, lift your hand, forget not the humbled. So there's forget, already in Psalm 10. And it's this idea that the God, his divine presence is delayed. God is distancing himself with respect to his faithful. So that's the first, and that's the sense that there's his existence is being uh, is escaping me. His his presence is escaping me. And then the second, how long will you hide your face from me? So forget and hide. We have already in this verse 2, God who has two ways of distancing himself with respect to me, by forgetting me, and which is really by not giving me to discern his presence, but then by hiding your face from me. So the face in the Bible expresses God's turning to be in relation with me. You know, we can think of Psalm 27. My heart has said that your face is sought from you. It is your face that I seek. Do not hide your face from me. Psalm 27. And so we're looking for this deep relationship with God. And God not only disappears, forget, why you forget me, and why are you disappeared? Have you disappeared from me? But then hide your face. Why are you not in relationship with me? So why are you not showing your existence to me? And why are you not in relationship with me? Two aspects of the person, right? which are fully expressed in this verse too. And in this experience, looking at God is uh, trying me on two levels of my person. And we're going to see these sort of a double aspect of the person in each of the five parts of the psalm. And it's sort of the psalm is constructed about these double levels in which God and myself are at work with. So Psalm 2 is really a very powerful prayer towards God, right? I toward God, you see on the left side, expressing the position of this first part, the first of the five parts of the psalm. But then we have the second part, right? And let me read it. How long must I place deliberations in my soul, have sorrow in my heart during the day? How long will my enemy rise over me? So what we have here is in verse 2, in the first part, I'm totally turned towards God and two aspects by which God is uh, with respect to me. But now I'm looking into myself, into me, first into myself, and there it's touching two aspects of myself, right? We have in verse 3, deliberations in my soul, first aspect. Second aspect, sorrow in my heart. What does this first line mean? How long must I place deliberations in my soul? So if you understand what the Hebrew is about, it's the word deliberation. It comes from the word counsel. And what we have in the Bible is the very solid and unified counsel of God. But I am living something which is not at all unified. In how long must I place deliberations? We could say many deliberations in my soul. What am I deliberating about? Well, how am I going to escape my adversaries, my enemy, my persecution? And how I'm going to understand that God forgets me and hides his face from me. Right? And so why does God leave me so humiliated? Right? And how long must I place deliberations in my soul where I have no answers to all these questions? And so in my soul, the word soul here is the sense that what is the we could say in my intelligence for the it's what's unique about man. It's his soul with respect to all other animal life, right? And this capacity of man of free deliberation in the soul, and so it's really this profound freedom of man, which is I touch it. My freedom is shaking because I'm in multiple deliberations rather than God on his part, right? If you take Psalm 33, verse 11, The counsel, the deliberation of the Lord stands forever. And we have in Isaiah chapter 25, the first verse, O Lord, you have done wonderful things, deliberations formed of old, faithful and sure. And it's going to be taken up by St. Paul in the New Testament about the counsels of God, the counsel of God from before the creation of the world, which is being put into, revealed to us. And so God has this very deliberations, but which bring out clarity. Whereas, how long must I place deliberations which remain obscure in my soul? And so that's uh, the first line. The second line, have sorrow in my heart. So, sorrow in my heart is something much more of my affectivity, right, with respect to, rather than my intelligence, right? And sorrow uh, is this sense of grief. I'm distressed because my happiness seems far away. It's not so much with respect to knowing, having a clear understanding, but sorrow is with respect to happiness, right? Where is my happiness, right? And then there's this little expression which is added at the end of this verse. In Hebrew, it's yomam, the days, right? So during the day of during the days, I translated, and the days are for action, to put things into, to go forward in accomplishment of things. And rather, I have sorrow in my heart because I'm, I've lost this touch with uh, where my happiness is, where where I can find consolation. And so, but all this is uh, in the third line of our second part, where I speak about him, my enemy, right? So, first two lines about me and him. How long will my enemy, which my enemy with respect to me, how long will my enemy rise over me? And rise over me, it's exalt himself, prevail over me. We're going to see this. This second part is going to be echoed just after the central part, where it's we're going to continue to see more deeply how this the work of the enemy rising over me, uh, exalting himself over me, is. But here we have basically in the second part. In my prayer is no more turned towards uh, God's characteristics, right? And I'm trying in the first part, right? So why is there forgetfulness in God? Why is there hiding of his relationship with respect to me and God? But in the second is what's happening inside me and what's happening with respect to my enemy. And so here we can see who is the enemy. So maybe you think the first suggestion, it's the enemies of Israel, the Philistines, or that are attacking Israel, right? But if we take the context of the second part, where I'm looking inside my soul. It's much more the enemy which is in me. There's something, I have an enemy in me who is uh, who is precisely the one who's uh, developing this pain of how long, right, am I going to be in persecution? So our first persecution is one which comes from inside us, rather than looking at uh, the at an enemy outside. And so it's a psalm where we're going deep into the uh, the reality of the person and his struggle to be brought out in its fullness. And we know very well it's in ourselves, right? Through precisely our sins, our habitual sins, that's cutting us off from the blossoming of our persons. And how long is that going to be? And there we see much better that there's a free engagement on our part on the side of God, which is going to be determining for this how long, this fourfold how long to end. And precisely this is what we have in this psalm with the central verse, where uh, our our prayer, right, turns back. You see on the left side, I ask you, God. I ask you, and I'm turned towards a pure prayer towards you. But we're going to see also it's a prayer which is double fold, and you can see in the first two words of the psalm of this central part in the Hebrew. It's first is look, O Lord, O my Eloi. Answer me, O Lord, my Eloi. Two aspects, right? And with respect, where I'm turned towards, O Lord, O my Eloi. So what we have that, although there is this very uh, uh, great tribulation of the how longs, I remain in a intimate relationship with our God. He's not only, O Lord, he's also, O my Eloi. He is uh, the, he is my God. And so I ask him, look, answer me. So look is the register of discernment. Answer is the register, the auditive register, which is one where I try to listen. Well, uh, what does God have in His heart? Where I go beyond, uh, and but look here is uh, uh, is doubly strong in the central verse because it starts with "Look, O Lord, my Eloi," and then ends with "Give light to my eyes." So let me look at you. Look at me and give me to look at you. And so there's this fullness of exchange of recognizing the existence of the other one. But in the middle, we have answer me, right? Which supposes that here, these four how longs, which I have been addressing, and answer me, and let me hear from you. So let us be in a dialogue, in a relationship. Let us look at one another. In other words, recognize the presence of one another, the existence of one another, the present existence of one another. And then there's on the auditive register, right? Let us be in dialogue. Let us go into a deeper relationship. And it finishes with, lest I fall asleep in death. And so this is also part of the central message of our psalm. And I'm afraid that I'm going to be completely cut off, and that my deep life, which we have seen up till now, right, of soul and heart, right, of perceiving, understanding that on one hand, there's forgetfulness, and on the other hand, there's lack of relationship, hide your face in my relationship with God. And so all this, if it continues, right, my life is going to disappear. And in fact, the word give light to my eyes, in Hebrew, the verb give light is one which is very close and in its meaning to save, right? Give life by to me, and lest I lose life, I fall asleep in death. And so I feel that I'm on the brink with these how longs of persecution, of death, and we can see how incredibly deeply Jesus in the Passion, which is so great, right? He falls asleep in death, but it's not the total extinguishment of his life. And that's what we celebrate today, is that he has put, Jesus has put into the history of humanity, right, a power of life which is greater than death. But precisely, I'm at the brink of losing sense that I can keep the power of life. And I think we live this very strongly, and especially when, for example, very oppressing sickness comes into us. We feel that we're dying, and we're so this is a fundamental aspect of the human experience, and which is part of the way I pray to God. You see, prayer is not simply thanksgiving for the marvels of God. And that's what we see with Jesus in his passion. It goes much, much further into a communion which touches the mystery of death. That's the silence of Holy Saturday, right? Asleep in death. The bridegroom is asleep in death. And we, in this Psalm 13, are called to participate in this. And it's part of the expression of our personhood going through Holy Saturdays in the silence of the sleep of death. And this is because there is this opposition in me. And so here we get to the third part, where we come back to, I'm no more looking directly in my relationship, you to God, but I'm looking at myself with respect to my enemy. And what I said earlier is is a whole dimension of what is inside my own being. I have my enemy. And lest my enemy say, I have prevailed over him. My foes rejoice. Truly see me stumble. So it's interesting. It's lest I fall asleep, but also this idea of the sense that I'm at the brink of death, right? It's also at the brink of seeing my enemy totally prevailing, totally victorious over me. And I have prevailed is a very equative in Hebrew. It's an extremely rich word, and let me try and understand. Lest my enemy say I've prevailed over him. Well, who prevails in the first books of the Old Testament? Let me read to you in Genesis, where in Genesis we have here we go, chapter 32 in the story of Jacob. Let me read Genesis chapter 32, verse 35. Jacob was left alone to be tested, and a man wrestled, or an angel, we don't know, with him until the breaking of the day. When this opponent saw that he did not prevail, Yakol, right? That's what is in Genesis. Here it's ekoltiv. So when this angel did not prevail against Jacob, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and Jacob's thigh was put out of joint, and as he wrestled with him. And then it's Jacob who prevailed against the angel and asking him for his blessing. And so the angel said, with his opponent, Your name shall no more be called Yaakov. Yaakov, uh, Jacob, is made up with Yaakov to to prevail. You're not only you're going you're not going to be only the prevailing one, but you're going to be called Israel, right? Strong with El, strong with God. For you have striven with God and have prevailed to call. There's always this verse 35 in Genesis chapter 32. So, what is this first line of the fourth part saying? Lest my enemies say, with respect to me, I am like Jacob and I have prevailed over it. And my I have dominion. I can I can I'm going to oblige him. Whereas Jacob obliged the angel to bless him, right? But there's the danger that I find myself before my enemy obliging, right, me to enter his decisions. And my foes rejoice, and my enemy, and I become my enemy's happiness. Truly, they see me stumble. So they 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 see me precisely. It's a recalling on the brink of death, and so here I am with this uh, uh, this sense that I'm almost on the way of total collapse. And we can say Jesus, in his passion, went uh, the to the very extreme in living for us, right? Uh, the almost touching total collapse. My God, why have you forsaken me? So here we have uh, what we have in the second and the fourth part of the psalm when we consider my my relationship with my enemy. We have again this very uh, richness of relationship, which is linked to a person. So the person is not only revealed in his direct uh, uh, dialogue with God, but also in his dialogue with his persecutor, his opponent. And so we're getting to the end of the psalm, the last part, where we see that in my prayer I return to as you see in the margin on the left, I toward you, O God, to a powerful prayer, which we could say has these four different points. And let's go in them one by one. And first, the two first. As for me, in your covenant love, I trust. We could translate it. In your covenant love, I have faith. So this aspect is, but really, right, while I'm on the brink of death, right, yet there is this dimension of my person, which is one of faith in your covenant love, of trust in your covenant love. And precisely in your designs, right? In your divine counsel. I trust in your divine counsel, O Lord. It's so I am this challenge of my soul, in which I have deliberations in verse 3. In faith, in trust, right? I go beyond deliberations to a really union with God's covenant love. And so there's this first aspect of my turning towards completely, in an absolute manner, towards you, God. We can say that all this last part is the echoes, the new life, which we're celebrating now in the Paschal time, Jesus. And he, in his humanity, is the one trusting in God's covenant love in a complete, absolute way, but which has been prepared by his passion, but brought forth, as in this psalm, in an absolutely mysterious and marvelous way, into a new life. As for me, in your covenant love, I trust. That's really the most profound of my person, which is complemented by the second line, let my heart rejoice in your salvation. We saw just above, my foes, lest my foes rejoice over me. But here, my heart is totally victorious over the rejoicing of my foes, into rejoice in your salvation, in your life-giving, your new life-giving. My heart rejoices. So we can say the first two lines is faith and love. And I can, through persecution, I have come to this purity of personhood, where I am totally engaged in faith and love. And this is what our Paschal time is all about, to really engage fully into faith and love. And as we see in the next line, and sing, I will sing to the Lord. It's going to become a celebration, which singing also is one where I'm giving my own emergence as something which I share to others. I can say, with respect to the celebrations we have just concluded of Passion and Resurrection, how much I've been marveling and in wonder in my brother monks for their capacity to sing in a choir, so that we sing to the Lord. So we're really holding one another in this beautiful relationship to the Lord in the fullness of the experience. And then we get the very last line of verse 13, which is I want to dwell on it a little bit because it's such a great word when you read it in Hebrew, right? So truly, he has dealt bountifully with me. It's in the Hebrew, it's gamal. He he has dealt gamal with me. And what does dealt bountifully with me mean? And there's no other um, psalm which is which concludes with this gamal, except here. And I would say it's one of the great moments of the whole Psalter. Let me give you, in the Psalms, the other times when we have this this verb gamal, doing bountifully, and you're going to understand what we're going to understand what this last line means. Truly is dealt bountifully with me. And we have this in the last part of the Psalms. So in we have in Psalm 116, verse 7, return my soul to your rest. Lord has been gamal to you. The Lord has brought you who are in tribulation or persecution, right? So uh, you can say to your soul, return my soul to your rest, because the Lord has been gamal to you, has dealt bountifully to you. He is, and giving you the rest of the eighth day. But even also in the very, very long Psalm 119, right? Deal gemol with your servant. Deal bountifully with your servant. Be precisely the one who brings out this beautiful gift of goodness, of bounty. But then we have the key psalm of the Psalter, which I think it's the echo of Psalm 13 at the end of the Psalter. Psalm 131, verse 2 in our Hebrew Bibles, and which is translated differently, but let me read it. As a child, it is gamul, or usually translated as a child that is weaned, as a child that is uh, now milking the from the breast of his mother. So is gamul, as a gamul child, is my soul. My soul has become like this. Uh, there's nothing more bountiful than what a baby has at his mother's breast being nourished. So truly, he has dealt bountifully with me. He has led me to be the baby nourished at the breasts of Mother God. This is the end of Psalm 13. We have also Psalm 142, the last time we have, it doesn't happen very often, this Gamal in the Psalter. Then the just shall gather around me, because you have been Tigmol to me. You have given Gamal to me. So I'm going to, the others are going to gather because they're going to be attracted towards this quiet nourishment of God, from of Mother God, who's giving me the baby at the breasts of Mother God. And the just will gather around me because I'm like that. I remember this word of the superior of all the Carthusians, which is one of the most contemplative communities in the world. He said, my vocation is to be this gamal, that my soul be this gamal with God, be this little child at the breast of Mother God. That's what contemplative life is about. And that's what the last verse of Psalm 13 is about. Okay. So what do we have here in Psalm 13? We have 5 dimensions of my experience in which my person emerges and emerges into this greatest beauty in, we can say for our Paschal time, in the resurrection, but is expressed by faith and love. In your covenant love I trust, and my heart rejoices in your salvation. And so, and also, which brings out in song an alleluia of the Paschal time. I will sing alleluia to the Lord, because truly the depth of contemplative life you're giving to me, which is the life of a little baby being milked at the breast of his mother. And that's what my soul is about, the profound of my being. So we have, if we look at all this, we have this dereliction, which is expressed in the whole first part of the psalm, which makes me touch the sleep of death. But it's there that a resurrection can be brought about. And that's where we're going to go to Psalm 3. And Psalm 3 also has this death resurrection at its center. So remember Psalm 3, O Lord, how many are they who oppress me? Many rise against me. Many are they that speak against my soul. There is no form of salvation for him in Elohim, Selah. Yet you, O Lord, a shield. But I respond by awakening my faith in Psalm 3. And you, O Lord, a shield making atonement on behalf of me, my glory. Even now you raise my head. And then when I weep, I cry to the Lord, and he answers me from his mount of the mount of his holiness. And then the center, as for me, when I lie down to rest and sleep, and we can say sleep of death, I awake, I rise up from the dead. Truly, the Lord gives me to lean on him. So this is where the 2 Psalms have basically the same message. And therefore, I do not fear 10,000 of people pressing forward, set all around against me. Arise, O Lord, right? Rise up from the dead, O Lord. Save me, O my Eloi. Truly, you strike my foes on the cheek, the teeth of the wicked you break. To the Lord, salvation, on your people, your blessing. So I hope you feel this. Psalm 3 and Psalm 13 are twins. And in Psalm 3, we have directly, with respect to this multitude of enemies, the attitude of faith and love and this this confidence that the sleep of death will lead to resurrection. In Psalm 13, we see that we're much more in a painful blossoming, which brings about resurrection. And we're going deeper into this experience. So I've been much too long. It's already 8 o'clock, but I'd be very happy. Have you any comments which has come up? I hope that this awakens you in this Paschal time. Comment today and how providential it is in our story together. Can you? Does anybody have at least something to say about how providential this psalm is to live our ecclesial life? Yes, yes,
I was just thinking because I had actually posed a question in the chat about the term that you had translated as covenant love. And is it,
yes,
but I looked at it and was it just Hesed?
yes. It's
Is that what?
Hesed, which is which is it's if I only say love, right?
Yeah.
I don't catch what Hesed is because Hesed is not human love or especially not passionate love, right? It's the love
Mm.
which God reveals in the Bible and which of the old covenant and of the new covenant. And so I don't know how to express that otherwise than by this double word, covenant love.
Well, I would say that I think personally, just the providential aspect of this psalm today was a just beautiful. So thank you.
Okay.
But as we approach, you know, this next, the Sunday at the end of the octave of Easter, Divine Mercy,
Right.
I think of Hesed and of this verse, like to actually trust. I just have that
Yes.
image of like the blood and water pouring out of his side, and
Right.
I love when the different icons and paintings where there's a cup being lifted up to Jesus' side on the cross.
Yes.
And I think of that in like a nursing child.
Right.
And so I've just been pondering that this week in particular, just as we go from Easter to this coming Sunday. And so I think of that.
I
That's
hope I've been touching tonight what each of you have been living in seriously engaging in this, what the church celebrates as the high point of the year and the most profound revelation of God. Is there any other comment which you'd like? I, w- I would be, you can even write your comments and they'll be said, if you don't want to speak, you can uh, but it's really, your comments are always so, so helpful to everybody. So we're continuing with enthusiasm this journey, and next Monday, after the after the Sunday of St. Thomas, and we're going to have the last psalm which we have not studied in this first mountain of the Psalter, and we're going to get into all deeper and deeper into this understanding of this extraordinary gem which the Psalter is, as it is presented to us in its order. So I wish you a wonderful uh, Paschal time, but I wish you that this last part of Psalm 13 uh, be your flag during this Paschal time. So let me bless you here. Today I'm not in the monastery, so I just have a very simple cross, but we have to remember the cross represents Jesus going through persecution, but so as to bring us the resurrection. So we ask you, O Lord, through the cross, through this brink of death, of complete destruction, which Jesus lived on the cross, right? That we receive during this Paschal time the strength of this intimate nourishment of new life from God. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless all of you.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father.